No, I mean we can't operate that way. We're going to play our best guys in the best position, and unfortunately, and you brought up, of course, everything that's happened here, and there's elsewhere where guys are unfortunately injured. Some of those are non-contact injuries. Some of those are just they're freak deals. Some of them are technique things. Some of them they're all different situations, but we're going to play the best guys because you'll also notice that if some of the examples that you made of when it's a contact, there was a pretty good player that was making the contact on the other side, and so you've got to your X against their O, and we're going to try to get the best X's out there we can. A little bit. I think we try to do a little bit of a balancing act. One of our biggest strengths is just the horizontal leadership that happens within our team. And we want Rodney Hardrick to tutor all those guys. We want, Jeff Lockheed to tutor all those guys. We want Tyler Johnson, all those guys that can just they've all been there recently. They have a great feel for what it's like to transition. All those things that you go through as a high school senior to a true freshman in college. And we want those guys to have those relationships. And then yes, we did take advantage of the allotted time, which for us is not very much with the either position coach or coordinator. A little bit more than we have in the past, but I don't want our players to be sick of our coaches in week 6. I don't want or vice versa at some point in the season. And from that standpoint, just being out there at the walkthrough today and seeing guys operate, seeing guys click from a signal standpoint, our veterans did a great job of weaning them in. Well, there's a million things. I mean, we want to play fast and free, and we got to get to that at some point. The young guys, they're we talked about this last night as a team, is they're so concerned about being perfect. They either overthink it or tighten up or whatever, and just being fast and free. And that'll, talk to those guys always about making mistakes. The first million are on the coaches, and just go. And you're trying to establish depth. You're trying to establish roles. You're trying to establish toughness. There's a million things that you're trying to get done, and it's a constantly evolving deal. Did you? I'm sorry. Chemistry? Is that what you said? Okay. Well, again, we've only really seen that a couple days, and they've been great. And I don't know if you're alluding to like Matt Haggerty, but he came in, and people are worried about that whole fifth-year transfer guy, and I said a little earlier that the offensive line, there's not too many more fraternal kind of organizations than that, and he's just a cog, and just a guy that showed up and worked, and those guys didn't miss a beat at all. And so from that standpoint, that's been great. And then, we'll see from here on out. Got a bunch of great competition going on there, I think, too, throughout fall camp. Yeah, Joe's a guy similar to kind of how I was talking about Royce a couple weeks ago, just of a quieter guy that we're kind of asked to come out of his shell, a guy that plays big, plays loud. He knows what to do. He's a great leader from just a straight, stone-cold work ethic, blue-collar kind of standpoint, and just to affect some more people with being vocal, asking more from him in that way. Well, it's always different when guys are coming back from, whether it's one injury or multiple injuries or whatever, and there's so many things that go into that too, of confidence, of it's one thing to be cleared on a test, which obviously our guys they go through that whole protocol, and then once they're out there, it's a confidence thing. It's trusting yourself, trusting your rehab, trusting your strength, trusting everything, trusting the guys next to you, and then kind of probably the best thing is to have it, get hit or kind of fail in some way, not obviously from an injury standpoint, and then be okay and get over that hump. And so whether it's him or some of these other guys, that's another thing that you try to get through in fall camp for sure. I didn't hear the first part of that. Did he? Oh, my comfort level. Okay. Hopefully, we can keep the staff together for forever. That's my hope. These guys are awesome, just awesome guys to be around. They bring in the right type of players that want to represent our program, represent our community, our university, and my comfort level is very, very low. So that'll keep us, hopefully, going back to the other thing about we're constantly changing, constantly trying to improve ourselves, me first and foremost, our staff, our players, our strength, everything we do, we're trying to get better. And so you're never comfortable. You're just, more we talk about, you're trying to ascend in a lot of ways. Well, they should have an advantage, certainly, of one of the things we talked about, just knowing how to practice, knowing how it works, knowing when we say this drill, they run over to this spot, they know where the bathrooms are, that's an advantage. All those things should give them a little bit of a leg up, and then just going out and doing it. Yeah, I think just whenever you're replacing any of those guys, whether it's somebody replacing Ifo or somebody replacing Hronis or somebody, be yourself, and all those other guys have to ratchet things up a little bit better, and our coaching staff has to make up for all my shortcomings, and they do their job a little bit better, and hopefully we'll be all right.
Do you feel like you're better prepared to overcome those losses than you were 3 or 4 years ago?
From a personnel standpoint, we'll find out. We really like our guys, and we really like how they work. I think there's a ton of roles that have to be defined in a good way. I think there's a lot of those talented guys. Again, kind of at that offensive skill position. I like where our D-line depth is headed. But right now, they're just names on a board that you foresee doing things, and how they've prepared, how they've worked in the summer, how Coach Rad has them ready to go. It's encouraging, and now that's the exciting part of this time of year is you have to go out and find a way.
Time for a couple more questions.
Yeah, it's just, Jeff's he's a great dude, universally kind of loved guy, and that it's just so weird in college football right now. As soon as somebody's named the starter, and no offense, but every reporter, what's that first question? You go to the backup, go, where are you transferring? It's like it's just assumed, and that's weird. And so I think it says a ton about him that to fight through this, and he knew he was sitting behind a pretty good player, and they had a great relationship. They were really close, and I think there's a lot to be said for that.
So you talked about how you're always team ready, staff always team ready. What are you working on personally? What are the better coaches?
A million things. Communication, everything my wife says, of things that are my shortcomings, or shortcomings that show up on our football team. And so trying to communicate better, and there's a thousand things from a infrastructure standpoint that we're always trying to improve upon.
One more question, if there is any.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.